All right.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Rene with my cycling buddy, Tommy O'Donnell. And today was the end of day 24. We've only got 2 days to go before we dip into the ocean.
Yeah, about 150 miles, right? Yeah.
So give us the recap on the day's ride.
Right.
What were the highlights?
So let me see if I can get this right. So we started in Bennington, Vermont.
Yep.
We did a lot of climbing today. A lot of, I think about 4,000 feet total. And,
Was that the favorite part of the whole ride for you?
Oh, I loved it. Every minute of it. So there's just through Vermont, it's really nice. There's all these little historic towns along the way. We stopped in Wilmington, Vermont for breakfast, and in between climbing, we stopped along the way and got to the top of, what was it, Hogback Mountain. Yeah. That was kind of the peak, right?
That's when it all went pear-shaped.
Yeah, pear-shaped, right.
That's when it started to rain to beat the band.
Yeah.
Then it started to hail, and we were descending at breakneck speed.
Yeah.
It was a little crazy.
It was about 3,000 feet of descending.
It was nuts.
Rain and then lightning.
And then when the lightning started to strike, that's when, thank God, Cindy, our trusty RV driver, was there. We couldn't get into the RV fast enough.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But we got into Brattleboro, easy for me to say, yeah. Safe and sound. And let's introduce tonight's guest.
All right, so we have Blair Ritchey from, you're in Dallas, right? Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, my office is in Dallas. I actually live in Allen, Texas.
Oh, Allen. Okay.
All right.
There you go. Just a little bit north of where I live.
And Blair, have we prepared you with the question of today from Dwayne Scott, a student at North Lawndale College Prep?
Yeah, Dwayne has a great question. It's a great
question. So how does learning from your mistakes make you better in the future? And we're going to let you mull that over for a little bit while we ask you some questions about yourself, because I'm sure that our listeners would love to hear about your background. So that's just the first question. In 3 minutes or less, give us the Blair Ritchey personal history of where you're from, where you grew up, and your career and educational experience. Just give us a little
Absolutely. Background. Well, I'm a Yankee up there. I live in Texas now, but I was born and raised in Western Pennsylvania. So
okay.
The mountains of Western Pennsylvania. Don't know whether your travels have taken you through much of that, but the mountain the description you had today, I get. I grew up in the coal mining areas of Western PA. My dad was a steel worker and just had a little coal mining town. Grew up in Western Pennsylvania, but that shaped me. That kind of formed who I was as a young man. Learned a lot from my dad and my mom. Both were hardworking people and taught me the value of that work and put a lot of faith in me as well as opportunity invested in me. So I was blessed that way. Went off to college at Indiana Wesleyan University. Saw a little bit of the Midwest and the flatness of that, and started a career in youth work and church work, and was a youth pastor for a couple years, and then decided I really wanted to further my education. So I did my master's work outside of Lexington, Kentucky, in a little seminary called Asbury Theological Seminary. Great school, loved it there. And after that, I went back to Pennsylvania and enjoyed a nice run of church work in Western Pennsylvania. And about that time, as it was coming to a close, I had the opportunity to get involved in an entrepreneurial project of starting new churches. And the opportunity opened up to move to Dallas. And my family just was ready for just a new opportunity. So we loaded the van, and my kids were really young at the time, getting ready to start school and kindergarten. So we came to Plano, Texas, didn't know a soul, started knocking on doors, and did a little church planting project. It just grew and grew. And over the next 30 years, we had the joy of being part of about 10 different church plant projects. So I have a little bit of an entrepreneurial bent to me. So That's kind of my background, a little bit of nonprofit work in the nonprofit field. And what I'm doing now is really my church work is kind of in the rearview mirror, at least in terms of pastoral leadership. But a friend of mine, Ben Carroll, who was at the time years ago a parishioner actually, started a foundation, and it needed some leadership energy. And so for the past 4.5 years, I've served as the executive director of the International Student Foundation. And we actually work with foster care kids as they age out of foster care. About 10% of foster care kids try to go to college, only about 3% graduate. So what ISF does is we come alongside those students that have that dream of a college education. And we just really cheer them on. We provide scholarships that help them stay in school. Every one of our students has a mentor to help navigate that season of life. And then we do a leadership development track with them. And man, it's just a great opportunity to invest in some great young people.
Wow.
And Mom's wife is one of our mentors, and she does an amazing job with one of our students. So we work with about 51 students around the country right now.
Yeah, this sounds very similar to what North Lawndale College Prep does for their students. Same thing.
Yeah.
Is really helping them, mentoring them, supporting them about the entire journey.
That's great.
So tell us a little bit about your educational experience in terms of what you learned just from the schools that you went to and got a master's degree, and share a little of that with us.
Yeah, sure. College for me was a little formative time. You leave home and you have your parents' faith, you have your parents' experience, and when I got off college, it was a great opportunity for me to just really make things my own. And I was blessed. I had a great education, great mentors in college, and directionally with life had a direction to go. And when I was a kid, I went to a little vacation Bible school, and one of the things we did was a little craft. It was a little, it was just one of those little things where you take a piece of yarn and you do a little plaque, and on the plaque it just said, "Give God your best," right?
Mm-hmm.
And that thing hung over my bed all through high school, all through growing up. It was just one of those things as a mantra. I developed that as a life mantra, to give God my best. And over the years, you kind of try new things, you fail at some things, you go at some things, and yet that kind of motivated me to always give God my best. And the blessings that have come my way for doing that, guys, have just been incredible. And so I learned that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to try new things. It's okay to go out on the edge of a little bit. And again, I have an entrepreneurial bent. I've just had a lot of adventures in my work and in my personal life, and I really admire what you guys are doing on your little adventure there on your bike rides. It's kind of a great opportunity we have to live in a great country like we live in, where we have opportunities to go for some things and try new things, and it's kind of a cool part about leadership too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what would you say was one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned throughout your education, whether it be in school or just life lessons?
I think part of the thing that, as I look back over my career, that it's really in the giving of your life to others and of helping others that you reap and you grow. And so, I was, as Zig Ziglar said, you can get anything you want if you help enough people get what they want. And I think there's some truth to that as you invest in others, as you help others succeed, help others grow, and you give of yourself, and what you get back is so much more than what you give. And so, that giving lifestyle I adopted early in life, and I never regretted it. Never ever have regretted the opportunities that have come my way to help other people, to invest in other people, to grow other people. And in the course of doing that, I became a better man. I became a better leader. And so, you know, that's, I think that's just a lesson in life that, you know, it's in the giving that we receive, and it's how helping others grow that we grow the best.
Yeah. You know, just a question on that. Do you think that people find it easy to ask for help?
Oh man, you know, no, I don't think we do. I think there's two reasons for that. One is I think there's a bit of a myth of self-reliance, I guess, out there, even though that's something we all value, that we have to do this alone, and it's not, you know, cool to ask for help. And I think there's a myth to that, because you can't get anywhere on your own. You are who you are because of other people, and you achieve what you achieve with the help of other people. I also think there's an ego issue there that keeps people, you know, it's almost like we're afraid of what other people will think of us if we ask for their help. And I'll never forget, before I moved to Plano to start this adventure, I kind of visited some other guys who had done what I'd done and done it successfully, and they'd started new work, started to do adventures. And one of the things that one of my mentors told me is, he said, never be afraid to ask for help. And that was one of those little nuggets, you know, you get at the beginning of a project that is just so gold. And I found that in the course of starting something new, starting something from scratch, I didn't have the resources at all to do any of that. And so I had to learn to ask for help. And that little nugget, never be afraid to ask for help, was a gold mine to me, because I found that people actually enjoy helping you. They really do. There's something they get from helping you. You have to put your ego aside, though, you know, because then you can't say, well, I've done this, I've done this. The truth is, you know, you need to help, and it's with the help of others that you go further. So yeah, great question.
Yeah. Well, you know, I learned that a little later in life. I mean, I grew up with my dad always telling me that if you want to get something done, you got to do it yourself.
Good yourself.
Right. And you got to be the rugged individual. You know, don't watch them. Don't let them see you sweat. And so you're absolutely right. I think that we build sort of this wall around us, that we're invulnerable, when the exact opposite is true. And you know, my experience has been that when you ask someone for help, I think 99.99% of the time, someone will say, "Sure, of course I'll help." I don't think I've ever met somebody that said, "What? I'm not going to help you." So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. And really, what's interesting is, think about the joy you get in helping others. That's the opportunity you're giving them. You're giving them the opportunity to help you and experience the joy of that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that gets us to today's question. So this is posed by Dwayne Scott.
Dwayne Scott. So how does learning from your mistakes make you better in the future? That's a really good question.
That is a really good question. And, you know, my first thought in thinking about that is that you have to get yourself to a place where you're not afraid to make mistakes. And I think there's a paralysis that a lot of people get in, a fear that they won't try something, they won't attempt something because they're afraid of making a mistake. And I think one of the first lessons in life, you got to free yourself up from that fear of failure and give yourself permission to make mistakes. I just see a lot of people are wound up way too tight, they live in a fear of failure, that they're just not willing to try something, not willing to, you know, go out on an adventure or go out and risk something because of that fear they have of making a mistake. The reality is, hey, we all make mistakes, and we're all flawed. None of us are perfect, and the quicker you get your arms around that, I think in life, the better you are. And you realize that mistakes just are going to happen. They happen to everybody, and that failure, even if it's very deep and personal, that failure is not final. And you know, there's a need we all have of just learning to bounce back from those mistakes. You read the biographies of every great person who achieved anything. They did it on the backs of their failures. They did it by making mistakes, making trials. Thomas Edison said, "It's not failure, it's an education," right? And that's really, if you can recast that mistake and that failure into a lesson, then you're really going to unpack one of the great secrets to success, because the reality is we all fail our way to this.
There you go. Absolutely.
In life. So just thinking that the mistake is, and here's the kicker though. You can make the same mistake and never learn from it, and you haven't done yourself a favor. So in the midst of those mistakes and those failures, don't waste them, learn from them. Get back up and learn from them. My daughter was a gymnast, and I used to go to the gym and watch her. Gymnastics practice is like this: get up, try, fall, fail, get up, try, fall, fail, get up, try, fall, fail, get up, try, fall, fail. But in the course of that, every time you fall and fail, you're learning something. Sure. And as you learn something, you get better at it. And in the course of all of that, you end up mastering a new trick. But the road to mastery is get up again, try, fall, fail, get up, try. And I meet some people, they're not willing to try. They're afraid to fall, they're afraid to fail, and they never get back up when they do. Yeah. And the way to that mastery and the way to that growth is learning through that mistake process. That's a great question, and I think it really goes to the heart of how success really happens in life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that pearl of wisdom. That was very, very good. Do you have a question for us? We've been asking you a bunch of questions. Do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Well, man, when Tommy, you get back in, I want to get the stories of your adventure, because just hearing what you guys went through today, I'm sure it's been a journey for you, and looking forward to hearing about that team, and you guys have no doubt experienced some failure on your way, right, on this journey, and learned a lot from it as well. So you probably can answer that question just from today's experiences and from this trip's experiences, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, we never got lost, but we got turned around in the woods for about 3 days.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Well, man, bless things on you guys, and I admire what you're doing, and admire what you're learning, and good for you, and God bless you. Safety on the rest of the journey. Hope you get to that ocean, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much,
Blair.
All right, guys.
All right.
Safe travels.
Have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.